How do you know which AI tool to use? It's a really difficult question. There are so many different models out there now. You've got Gemini, you've got Claude, you've got ChatGPT, you've got DeepSeek, you've got Perplexity, you've got Copilot. The options are vast. Today in this video, I'm going to break down which tools are best for which tasks and actually show you using some specific prompts that I've created, running them through every tool and comparing the output. Today, we're going to be focused on ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini in the main. We've got 4 different scenarios that we're going to give them, all for different use cases. It's going to be a longer video than usual, probably about 10 minutes or so. So get a coffee, strap in, let's go. Okay, so first up, before we even get into it, I'm just going to show you what we're going to be doing here. So let's take these 4 scenarios: creating images, creating a project timeline, writing an out of office email, and asking all the questions required to build a proposal for something. In my case here, an AI training program, because that's relevant to me. So these are the 4 scenarios, and the 3 tools that we're going to run them through are ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. We'll compare the output as we go through each one. So let's take this prompt and let's go and hop over to our LLMs. So as you can see, we've got ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini ready to go. So this first prompt is to create a realistic image of a racing driver in a pit garage standing next to a white Porsche Challenge Cup race car in white overalls, medium build, short spiky hair, pose the racing drivers as if they're having their photo taken for media purposes. So in ChatGPT, I'm going to click here and then click the create image button to make sure it's using the image tool. And in terms of styles here, because I've already kind of said that it's meant to be realistic, I'm not gonna pick a style. So let's run that prompt there. Let's paste that prompt exactly the same. You can see it here into Claude and run that as well. And now let's go over to Gemini. And now I'm using 2.5 Flash. We could use Pro, but that's more for reasoning. So we don't need that for image generation, but we do need to click tools like ChatGPT and click create images. And you'll see we've got this little banana here because recently Google released the Nano Banana model for image editing. So let's just run that and I'll be back in a second with the results. Okay, team, here are the results. So ChatGPT has created an image. It's pretty much what I asked for. I'm not entirely sure about the white racing boots, but there we go. This, this looks pretty accurate, but there's not much going on in the background. It's not an attractive image, wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was expecting something that was going to be a bit more punchy. So let's go and have a look at Claude. Now, you'll see immediately Claude hasn't generated an image, and I knew that this was going to happen. Claude doesn't actually have the ability to even generate images, but I was quite curious to see what it would output and what it would say and reply with, because I've never tried that. So it's offered to create a detailed description for an image generator. That's actually kind of helpful. Some photography direction in case we happen to have a Porsche Challenge Cup race car and a guy in overalls just waiting for us, or a visual concept development. Okay, so Claude scores a big fat 0 there. Let's head over to Gemini then. Now, this looks exactly like the kind of image I was trying to see or trying to envision in my head. It's taken my prompt, and if I put all the detail in, right, include some members of a pit crew behind, put some sponsor branding on, have some toolboxes in the background, maybe some tires I think I can see over there, then I'm sure ChatGPT could have put some more realistic effort in. But I don't know. This immediately feels a lot more like what I had in my head. And based on my fairly basic prompt, it's delivered a great result. So for image generation, I'm going to say Gemini is a clear winner. So let's go back to ChatGPT and let's open up a new chat and let's go and get our next prompt. So this one is all about creating a project timeline in an infographic style. This is something I actually had to do. And by the way, none of these tools are the best at this. Gamma is the best tool for this. Pro tip. So let's look at the prompt. Create an infographic style timeline for customer X's AI engagement journey, including these key milestones and dates, map to meet person 1, and there's some other dates in here that we need to include. So I just want a simple timeline infographic. So let's just paste that in there. Let's go into Claude and then paste in there. And then let's go into Gemini. Let's open up a new chat and let's enable the image creation again. And let's paste that in there and let's run that. So I'll be back with the results. Okay, all three tools have finished. Let's check out the results. So here is what ChatGPT came up with, which is, it's okay. Apart from there's a whole load of verbiage that's wrong. Um, I haven't gone through and checked these dates that line up with the prompt. I think they do. It looks about right, but you've got things like multiple things on the same dot here on the same part of the timeline. So I this isn't usable. I couldn't send this to someone. I couldn't even really use this internally. So let's have a look at Claude. And Claude came up with this beautiful artifact. So artifacts in Claude are little like HTML pages or other bits of code that Claude manages to write and then presents to you in this kind of a way. And you can share artifacts with people directly from Claude as well, which is really, really cool by hitting this publish button. But let's just have a look at the output. This all looks really good, in line with what we said. Everything's on its own sort of segment of the timeline. You've got it split into phases, which is quite nice, even though I didn't really ask for that. And then at the bottom, you've got some key milestones measured. So, and it's all interactive, and it all looks really, really nice because it's done in HTML. So, I think that this is easily shareable with a customer. I could share this quite happily with a customer and say, "Hey, this looks like," and it's a visual representation. Let's have a look at Gemini. Gemini, again, much like ChatGPT, didn't do so well. We've got these random icons down here, which are kind of we don't I even can't even fathom why they're there. Um, Most of the text seems okay, but again, why are some of these in blue and some of them are in green? There's nothing like, again, I couldn't share this with a customer. So if you want to try and make a project timeline look really, really good to a customer, you probably want to use Claude, I would say, is the clear winner here. And Gemini and ChatGPT, neither of them really hit the mark. But again, like I said, I did do this exact task and used Gamma, and it was beautiful. So do check it out. Right, let's get on to our next use case then. So let's get some new chat windows open and let's go with writing my out of office email. So something that we all need to do from time to time, a few times a year, and is just a pain in the bum. So let's get these queued up, new chat, and let's run these prompts and see what comes back. All of them should run pretty quickly. So let's just review here. So subject, ChatGPT, subject out of office, 10th to 15th of October. Hello, thanks for your message. I'm out of the office and I've no access to email during this time. I'll respond as soon as possible upon my return. Standard. Let's see what Claude came out with. It's pulled up an artifact, probably a little bit heavy-handed. I'll be out of the office from October. No access to email. For urgent matters, please contact alternative person. Okay, so that's a nice little value add. I'll respond to messages upon my return on October 16. Okay, I think this is a better message. I didn't specify that there was going to be someone alternative, but I do, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. I think that's a good call out from Claude there. Let's have a look at what Gemini said. Thank you for your email. I will be out of the office from October 10th to 15th. No access to my during this time. I'll reply to your message upon my return. So I'm going to say all of these are usable. I do think Claude edges it out here. And this is just showing you how Claude is a better writer than most other LLMs. This is something that Claude is particularly strong at. Its capability to interpret writing tasks and language tasks. Really, really, really good. That's one of my best use cases for Claude, to be fair. Using it for like drafting my posts, reviewing emails, reviewing documents, helping to create and ideate some of my LinkedIn content. Claude is fantastic at that. So let's move on to our last use case then. So we are going to use something that I call the Q&A prompt framework. And this prompt framework effectively gets an LLM tool to ask all of the questions required in order to generate a particular output. So what do I mean by that? Let me just break the prompt down. Customer X, a recruitment firm, wants our AI consulting company to build a training program for 50 employees. We will train in batches of 8 to deliver a foundation level course, specifically demonstrating practical hands-on usage of LLM tools such as ChatGPT, Claude, and Copilot. Ask me all of the questions required to build a lightweight proposal that I can send to the client for review. Now, this is what I mean about the Q&A prompt framework. So when I don't know what to tell ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, when I can't give it all of the information up front, what I ask for is all of the questions required for the LLM to then go on and generate a meaningful piece of content. Hopefully that makes sense. You'll see as we run through the prompt what that looks like. I know this works well in ChatGPT. I'll be completely honest. It's not a framework that I've used in Claude very often or in Gemini at all. So let's just paste the prompt into each and then run it, and I'll be back with the results. Okay, so here we go. ChatGPT has asked a ton of questions. I have gone down, and I think there must be at least 20 here, maybe 25, something like that. So yeah, really good. Lots of different questions. Let's go and have a look at Claude. So here we go, training content and scope. So Claude has asked 1, 2, 3, 5. And then it goes into a different format, so it's hard to tell. But if it's to be believed, around 17 questions, I think. So probably about a third less, I'd say, than ChatGPT in terms of building this proposal out. So it's probably still enough questions to get a solid first draft from Claude. Let's go and have a look at Gemini. So having a look at this, well, I mean, way less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just 9 or so questions from Gemini here. There might be ones that, sentences in here that have 2 answers. I've not reviewed it that closely, but yeah, not a great number. I don't know that we're going to get a real bolted down document from this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through now and I'm going to answer each of the LLM's questions that they asked and provide them back, and then see what each one of them generates in terms of a proposal. So give me a second. I'll be right back with you. Okay, here we go. So ChatGPT then. This looks pretty good, to be fair. Proposal, AI Foundations training program, prepared. Here's the objectives. That's good. Poke at the problem and tell them why they're reading it. Then it just dives straight into an approach, and then a content overview, deliverables, logistics, and then commercials. Although there aren't actually any commercials in here because ChatGPT didn't ask what the price was and how we were going to price it, or if there were going to be any like payment milestones or anything like that. And then success measurement. Now I can immediately tell there's something missing here, and that is what the next steps are, which is absolutely key in any proposal that you're sending, or a lightweight proposal such as this. This is geared towards fairly new customers, right? Where you're still figuring out the relationship. This isn't a scope of work. This is just here's what you've asked for. This is it documented. This is the price or the investment. Do we want to work together? So I'm going to say that this is okay, but needs some tweaking. Let's go over to Claude. Now, this was interesting. So I provided Claude with the answers to the questions, and then it came back and said, I've got all the information, but I need a few final details. It asked more questions. So me initially saying, oh, it's got like a third less questions than ChatGPT actually turned into, I think it probably asked a couple more in total. So what I'm expecting is a really good, robust proposal out of this. So if we scroll down, you can see I've run it in there and it created an artifact. So let's click the artifact. And here we go. So we've got the program proposal prepared for client by artificial on this date. That wasn't there in ChatGPT. That's cool. Program overview, training structure. It's gone straight into like what the deliverables are, I guess, and how we're going to do the training, what the content's going to be, key components. I don't like this is all really super bulleted. It just screams, I was written by AI. I really don't like that at all. So I could not just send this on. It would need a significant bit of work. And there's no verbiage or describing or anything, not fluffy, but there's not a lot of words. I don't really like that. But you've got the investment there. Crucially, it did ask about the payment terms. So, because these are obviously very important for customers. And then it does include the next steps. So I don't know if these are right. I've not reviewed this in a great deal of detail. However, this would require probably a similar amount of refinement to ChatGPT, maybe a bit less. At least I haven't had to, if I was just running this through one tool, at least I've not had to think about that next steps bit. If I'm busy or I'm in a rush. Let's go to Gemini and have a look at what Gemini said. Now, this was really interesting. Bearing in mind Gemini had the fewest questions, it's actually come up with something that's really quite reasonable. So you've got the investment, we've got the date, we've got from your company. I know you didn't ask me the company name. We've got an executive summary, which is something the other two didn't have, a proposed solution, program objectives, course modules, program logistics, what the investment is, and then what the next steps are. Now, I'm quite impressed because this had the least rigidity of all of the tools, but has probably come up with one of the best responses in terms of this is about the right length, it's about the right pacing, it's the right amount of words. It's not quite so succinct as Claude. It's a little bit better structured than ChatGPT, and yet it asked me the fewest questions. So we need to break this down in a couple of different ways. In terms of brainstorming, so if I hadn't have gone through this process loads of times before, and this was something I was doing that was quite new, I want lots of questions. I want to think about what are all the inputs that I need, rather than have an AI tool do all the thinking for me. I don't want that. So ChatGPT was great, asking me all of those questions and laying them out in a big list. Really, really, I found quite helpful. Claude breaking it down into 2 chunks was quite nice because it felt a little bit less overwhelming. But equally, when I got that second batch of questions, I was like, I thought I was done with that. So bit of a trade-off there. And then with Gemini, it's just kind of tried to do all the like some bits of the thinking for me based on my other responses, presumably, and fill in the gaps, which is great. But I'm not sure that it's necessarily what I would always want. So on that note, if you want all of the questions to get to create a prompt or to create a document, to, starter for 10, maybe ChatGPT wins this one. Claude probably wins overall for asking the best questions and the right amount of them, but just didn't quite get the output right. And that could be down to me and the way that I answer them in a bit of a hurry. And Gemini, I would say on the Q&A framework specifically, did not do very well on the questions, but has nailed the output and got the output probably slightly above the other two. I'm just going to gather my thoughts, think about all of the use cases we've tried here, and then summarize everything up at the end. I'll be back with you in 2 ticks. So to summarize everything that we learned in that video up, I think the only way to say it is that you need to use different tools to achieve different things. So if you're trying to work with images, Gemini is clearly much better. Obviously, was the winner there. If you're trying to generate complicated artifacts such as HTML documents or pieces of code, etc., Claude is the better tool. And if you're trying to write for specific purposes and you are a bit unsure or want to brainstorm and use that Q&A prompt framework, ChatGPT, I think, was probably the winner. In terms of the really generic use case of writing an out-of-office reply, all 3 tools handled that in a way that was acceptable, but Claude was ever so slightly better. So if you were to grade these tools based on the tests that I did, Claude technically wins. It is better, but it simply cannot generate images. It can't do it. So you need different tools to achieve different things, and it depends on your outcome. Do not pigeonhole yourself to one LLM tool. Do not get super wedded to one single thing. This stuff is changing all the time, and you need to be adaptable and understand the different tools that are available that deal with different tasks. If you want to get yourself professionally trained and have 6 hours of content like this delivered into your business, please reach out to me. I deliver these courses 6 hours virtually or in person for up to 8 people for your business regularly. I know all of the tools, all of the frameworks, and I have a ton of use cases that you can literally steal from me and apply straight into your business tomorrow. I promise you, once you've sent a team of 8 people onto a training day, they will be saving at least 30 minutes every day of the week. And they're going to be so much more productive and so much happier, removing all of that grindy, horrible, repetitive work out of their lives. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you did, please do give it a like or comment on it or repost it onto your network. The engagement really, really helps. Until the next time, I'll see you again soon.